First contact gone wrong. The massive screen in the United Earth Defense Force headquarters flickered to life, displaying an unprecedented sight. A pearl-white council ship had just dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the solar system, its sleek hull gleaming in the distant sunlight as it began its careful approach toward Earth. On the bridge of the council vessel, First Speaker Dale stood tall, his 4 arms clasped behind his back in what his species considered a gesture of peaceful intent. "Another primitive world to welcome into our fellowship," Dale announced to his crew. "Initiate standard first contact protocols." The council had performed this ceremony hundreds of times before. Their process was perfected over 10,000 years of peaceful integration: appear at a safe distance, broadcast greetings in the local language, and wait for the excited response from the newly discovered civilization. But something was different this time. Within minutes of their arrival, their sensors detected increased activity across Earth's orbital space. Satellites changed positions, hidden weapon platforms emerged from behind the moon, and a fleet of warships previously masked by advanced stealth technology appeared in defensive formations around the planet. First Speaker, the sensor officer called out, their tentacles writhing in agitation. "They're activating defensive systems across their entire solar system. We're detecting weapon locks from multiple platforms." Dale blinked all 4 of his eyes in surprise. "Impossible. They shouldn't have this level of technology. Our survey showed them as a level 2 civilization, barely reaching for their moon." The communication officer's tentacles twisted nervously. "Sir, I'm broadcasting our greeting message on all frequencies, but they're not responding." "Wait, they're actively jamming our transmissions." Throughout Earth's orbital space, human military commanders watched the alien vessel with grim determination. In underground bunkers, political leaders gathered in emergency sessions. On military bases worldwide, troops mobilized with practiced efficiency. The human response was unlike anything the Council had ever encountered. There was no celebration, no eager attempts at communication. Instead, Earth's combined military forces moved with the coordinated precision of a civilization that had done this before. First Speaker, the tactical officer reported, "Their weapons are far more advanced than preliminary surveys indicated. They appear to have hybrid technology. Some of their systems don't match any known designs in our database." Dale felt a chill run through his body. This wasn't how first contact was supposed to go. "Move us back to a safer distance," he ordered. "Let's try approaching from a different vector." As the council ship adjusted its position, a single text message cut through their communications: "Maintain current distance. Any approach will be considered a hostile action." The bridge crew stared at the message in shock. No newly discovered species had ever rejected council contact. It went against everything they knew about developing civilizations. "Sir," the science officer said, reviewing data streams, "I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from several of their installations. They appear to be defense systems we've never seen before. And some of their orbital platforms show signs of weapon damage, old damage from previous battles." Dale's professional composure cracked slightly. "Previous battles? That's not possible. We're the first advanced civilization to find them." But the evidence was undeniable. Earth bristled with weapons and defense systems that showed years of development and refinement. Their orbital infrastructure wasn't built for peaceful exploration, it was designed for war. As the council ship maintained its position, more human warships emerged from hiding spots throughout the solar system. They moved with practiced precision, taking up screening positions around Mars, Jupiter's moons, and several asteroid clusters. First Speaker, the tactical officer said quietly, "They're not acting like a species encountering advanced alien life for the first time. They're acting like they've done this before," Dale finished, his voice heavy with realization. "And whatever happened in those previous encounters taught them not to trust anyone coming from the stars." The council ship hung motionless in space, its crew watching with growing unease as Earth's defenses continued to activate. Their perfect record of peaceful first contact was about to be stained with its first failure, and none of them understood why. What they didn't know, what they couldn't know, was that they weren't the first visitors to Earth. They were just the first ones to try asking nicely. The hidden history. 3 months after the failed first contact, the Council's diplomatic chamber was in chaos. The massive circular room, designed to host representatives from 300 species, echoed with heated debates and worried whispers. First Speaker Dale stood at the central podium, his gray skin pale with stress. "The humans have shot down our 6th diplomatic probe," he announced to the assembled representatives. "They didn't even let it get past their outer defense line." A wave of muttering swept through the chamber. On the giant screens above, footage showed a small, peaceful Council probe exploding in a flash of light. A human defensive satellite had destroyed it without warning. "What kind of civilization refuses to even talk?" asked the representative from the crystal worlds, their crystalline form flickering with infused colors. "It goes against all known patterns of species development." The head of the Council's Intelligence Division, Director Tom, stepped forward. His robotic body hummed quietly as he projected new images onto the screens, showing Earth's rapidly expanding military presence across their solar system. "In the past 3 months," Tom reported, "the humans have built 3 new space stations around Mars. They've placed weapon platforms throughout their asteroid belt, and most concerning." He paused for effect. "They're building what appears to be a massive defensive wall of satellites around their entire solar system." The chamber erupted in shocked discussions. No species had ever attempted to fortify an entire solar system before. The cost and technology required would be enormous. "But where did they get such advanced technology?" someone shouted from the upper rings. "Our initial surveys showed them barely capable of reaching their moon." Director Tom's electronic eyes flickered. "That's the most interesting part. Our analysis shows their technology is mixed. Some of it is clearly their own design, but other parts." He displayed close-up images of human ships. "Other parts appear to be adapted from different technological bases, as if they've taken pieces of various alien technologies and made them their own." The implication sent a chill through the chamber. Humans hadn't just encountered alien life before, they'd apparently fought it and won, salvaging technology from their victories. Deep within the Council's central archive station, junior researcher Ben walked through rows of ancient data crystals. The massive archive was usually empty, most species preferred accessing records digitally, but Ben believed in doing things the old way, especially when all modern approaches had failed. The lighting was dim, designed to preserve the crystals that held 50,000 years of galactic history. His footsteps echoed off the metal floors as he searched through Section 47B, Failed Diplomatic Missions. "There has to be something," he muttered, scanning the crystal labels. "No species develops that kind of defensive mindset without a reason." A soft chime from his data pad interrupted his search, another report from Earth. The humans had just destroyed the Council's 7th diplomatic probe. This one hadn't even made it halfway to their defense perimeter. Ben sighed and turned back to the crystals. That's when he noticed something odd, a gap in the archive numbering system. Section 47B23 jumped directly to 47B25. A whole section was missing. "Computer," he called out, "identify missing archive section 47B24. The computer responded in its neutral tone, "Section 47B24 has been classified by order of the High Council. Clearance level Alpha required." Ben frowned. The Council rarely classified historical records. Display date of classification. Classification enacted 49,876 years ago. His eyes widened. That was before even the founding of the current Council. Whatever was in those records was very, very old. Ben spent the next 6 hours going through every connected record he could access. He found hints, fragments, and references, like pieces of a puzzle. They slowly came together, revealing a truth that would shake the Council to its core. When he finally burst into the council's main chamber, clutching his data pad and breaking all protocol, the assembled representatives had no idea their understanding of human history was about to be completely rewritten. First speaker. Ben called out. I found something about Earth. About before. The chamber went quiet. Dale blinked his 4 eyes in surprise at the interruption but gestured for Ben to continue. Ben connected his pad to the main display system. Ancient records flickered onto the screens. 50,000 years ago, he explained, slightly out of breath, a species called the Old Empire tried to conquer this sector of space. They weren't part of the council. They were warriors, expansionists. They found Earth, thought it would be an easy conquest. He paused, bringing up more records. They were wrong. The Old Empire sent a fleet of 300 ships. None returned. Not one. They tried again with 1,000 ships. Same result. The records showed the Old Empire eventually collapsed. Their failed invasion of Earth was the beginning of their end. Director Tom's electronic eyes flickered rapidly. But that's impossible. Humans were primitive then. They had barely discovered metal tools. That's what the Old Empire thought too, Ben said. But look at these energy readings their ships recorded. He displayed ancient sensor data. These patterns, they match some of the hybrid technology we're seeing from Earth now. The humans didn't develop all their advanced technology recently. They've had parts of it for 50,000 years. The implications hit the chamber like a physical wave. Humanity hadn't just faced first contact before, they'd been fighting off alien invasions for 50,000 years. Each attempt had made them stronger, more prepared, more technologically advanced. We've been approaching this all wrong, Ben concluded. We thought we were making first contact with a young species, but we're actually dealing with one of the most experienced alien-fighting civilizations in the galaxy. And to them, any alien contact at all is just another potential invasion to defend against. The council chamber remained silent as the truth sank in. They hadn't failed at first contact, they'd stumbled into the middle of humanity's 50,000-year-old policy of cosmic self-defense. And somewhere on Earth, in deeply buried archives, records of those ancient battles still existed, waiting to reveal the full story of humanity's long vigilance against the stars. The Dominion's Challenge. 2 weeks after Ben's discovery in the archives, the Council's emergency investigation team presented their findings. The massive council chamber was packed with representatives from every member species, all eager to understand the full truth about Earth's history. Lead investigator Jack stood at the central podium, surrounded by holographic displays showing thousands of years of pieced-together data. His normally pristine white fur was ruffled from weeks of non-stop work. We've confirmed researcher Ben's initial findings, he began, but the reality is far more extensive than we first thought. Earth hasn't just faced 4 or 5 alien invasions over the millennia. We've now found evidence of at least 27 separate attempts to conquer or colonize Earth. Gasps echoed through the chamber. The screen showed a timeline marking each discovered invasion attempt across 50,000 years of human history. The pattern is always the same, Jack continued, bringing up detailed analysis. Each invading species thought Earth would be an easy target. Each time, humanity not only survived but emerged stronger. They've been collecting and adapting alien technology for longer than our council has existed. The screen showed images of human defense systems, with parts highlighted in different colors to show their origins from various alien technologies. Their orbital defense platforms use power systems from the Old Empire, shielding technology from the 6th invasion attempt, and weapons systems from at least 3 other species. But before Jack could continue his presentation, every screen in the chamber suddenly went dark. When they reactivated, they showed a new image that made the blood of every council member run cold. A massive fleet of warships, unlike anything in council records, had just appeared at the edge of human space. Their design was angular, aggressive, and completely foreign to council databases. The ships moved with perfect synchronization, forming an attack pattern that spoke of absolute military precision. The Dominion, someone whispered from the upper tiers. They've finally come to this sector. The Council had heard rumors of the Dominion, a vast empire that ruled through force and absolute control, consuming civilization after civilization. They weren't interested in peaceful contact or cultural exchange. They conquered, absorbed, and standardized everything they touched. On Earth, Admiral James Walker stood with his hands clasped behind his back, his weathered face illuminated by the harsh glow of the alien transmission. The being on the screen wasn't what anyone had expected for humanity's first alien contact. No large eyes, no gray skin, instead, a towering figure covered in what appeared to be metallic scales looked down at them with glowing red sensors where eyes should have been. People of Earth, the creature spoke in perfect English, its voice carrying an artificial undertone that made it clear it was using some form of translator. I am High Commander of the Dominion, ruler of 70% of what you call the Milky Way. Your planet has been monitored for the past 50 years, and we have determined you are now advanced enough to be given a choice. The room remained silent. Military officers, political leaders, and scientists from around the world watched with bated breath. Your options are simple, the High Commander continued. Submit to the Dominion as a client species, or face extinction. You have shown promise in your development, but you are centuries behind our advancement. Resistance would be unfortunate. Admiral Walker stepped forward. At 60 years old, he had seen his share of conflicts, but nothing could have prepared him for this moment. Yet his voice didn't waver as he responded, and what exactly does becoming a client species entail? The alien's mechanical laugh echoed through the chamber. You will be granted access to our technology, our knowledge, our protection. In return, you will serve the Dominion. Your resources, your workforce, your military, all will belong to the greater empire. This is a generous offer. Most species are simply conquered. Behind Walker, General Maria Ross gripped the edge of her desk until her knuckles turned white. The President of the United Nations Security Council wiped sweat from his forehead. The choice before them seemed impossible, slavery or death. But Walker had noticed something during the transmission, something in the way the alien spoke, in the way it presented itself. The Dominion, for all its power, was rigid, uniform. And if there was one thing humanity had learned through its own history, it was that uniformity had its weaknesses. High Commander, Walker said, standing straighter. Humanity has received your message, and on behalf of Earth's unified defense forces, I have a response for you. He paused, allowing himself a small smile. No. The alien sensors flashed brighter. Perhaps I was unclear. No, you were perfectly clear, Walker interrupted. You want us to kneel, to give up everything that makes us human, to become another cog in your machine. He took another step forward. But humanity doesn't kneel. We don't submit, and we certainly don't surrender to bullies, no matter how big they are. The High Commander's metallic features shifted in what might have been surprise. You would choose extinction over elevation. Your species is even more primitive than we thought. Maybe, Walker agreed, but we're also something you clearly don't understand, free. And we stay that way. The alien ruler was silent for a long moment. You have 30 days to reconsider your foolish decision. When our fleet arrives, they will either accept your submission or begin the cleansing. Choose wisely, humans. The transmission cut off, leaving the room in darkness. Immediately, voices erupted in panic and argument, but Walker turned to face the assembled leaders, his expression determined. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, his voice cutting through the chaos, we have work to do. The Dominion thinks they know humanity. They think they understand us. But they've made a crucial mistake. He looked each person in the room in the eye. They've underestimated us. And in 30 days, they're going to learn exactly what humanity does when backed into a corner. As the room erupted into action, Walker allowed himself a grim smile. The Dominion had given them a choice between submission and extinction, but humanity was about to give them a third option, defiance. And if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was defying the impossible. The clock was ticking, and humanity's greatest challenge, and perhaps its finest hour, was about to begin. The unexpected defense. In the 24 hours following the Dominion's ultimatum, Earth changed more than it had in the past century. Old enemies became allies as nations realized human survival depended on working together. The United Earth Defense Force headquarters transformed into a bustling command center, with scientists, military leaders, and engineers from every corner of the globe working side by side. Dr. Anna Roberts hadn't slept since the alien transmission. The lead researcher at the Global Technology Institute stared at her computer screen, surrounded by empty coffee cups and scattered notes. She had been analyzing the data from the Dominion's transmission when she noticed something odd. "Admiral Walker," she called out as the military leader passed by her workstation. "Look at this pattern in their communication signal." Walker stopped, leaning over her shoulder to study the complex waves on her screen. "What am I looking at, Doctor?" "Their entire transmission system runs on crystalline computing," she explained, pulling up more data. "It's incredibly advanced, yes, but it's also uniform. Every signal we've detected from their ships uses the exact same pattern. They've standardized everything." Walker's eyes narrowed. "And that's important because uniform systems have uniform weaknesses," she said, a small smile forming on her tired face. "Give me a team and 3 days. I think we can create a quantum virus that could disrupt their entire network." Across the room, military strategist Thomas Green was having his own breakthrough. Surrounded by historical military texts and modern combat simulations, he saw what everyone else had missed. "The Dominion's too perfect," he announced during the emergency strategy meeting. "Look at their tactics, their technology, everything's advanced, everything's standardized. But that's not how warfare really works." He pulled up footage from human military history. The most successful armies in history didn't win just because they had better technology. They won because they could adapt, because they could use whatever worked, even if it seemed primitive. Green pointed to their own military assets. "We've got everything from old radio systems to quantum computers. The Dominion probably thinks that's a weakness, but what if it's actually our strength?" The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of activity. Underground bases were converted into manufacturing centers. Old military equipment was pulled out of storage and modified. Dr. Roberts and her team worked tirelessly on their quantum virus while Green developed strategies that combined Earth's varied technologies into something unprecedented. 28 days after the ultimatum, Admiral Walker called Earth's leaders together for a final briefing. "The Dominion thinks they're facing a primitive species with primitive technology," he began, looking around the room. "They expect us to either submit or fight a conventional war that we can't win. But that's not what they're going to get." Dr. Roberts stepped forward. "The quantum virus is ready. Once deployed, it should disrupt their crystalline computing networks, not permanently, but enough to cause chaos in their systems. And while their advanced technology is compromised," Green added, "we hit them with everything we've got. Old radio-guided missiles that their modern defenses can't detect. Analog systems they can't hack. Tactics they won't expect because they're too primitive to consider." Walker nodded. 2 days from now, the Dominion will arrive expecting to find a broken, submissive Earth, or a feudal resistance they can crush easily. He smiled grimly. "Instead, they're going to find out why you should never corner a species that turned being stubborn into an art form." As the meeting ended and final preparations began, Walker looked out at the night sky. Somewhere up there, the Dominion fleet was approaching, confident in their superiority. They didn't realize that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in its technology or its weapons, but in its endless capacity to surprise. In 48 hours, the Dominion would learn that lesson the hard way. And in the depths of human archives, records of yet another failed invasion would soon be added to humanity's long history of defying the impossible. The universe was about to learn why Earth had remained unconquered for 50,000 years. It wasn't just about the weapons they'd collected or the technology they'd salvaged. It was about something the Dominion, with all its power and uniformity, could never understand: the human spirit's absolute refusal to submit to tyranny, no matter the odds. Defiance's victory. The Dominion fleet appeared exactly when they said they would. 500 massive warships emerged from faster-than-light travel, their metallic hulls gleaming in the sun's light. They formed a perfect attack pattern above Earth's atmosphere, a display of power meant to terrify humanity into submission. In the Earth Defense Force Command Center, Admiral Walker watched the enemy fleet through the main screen. "Time to show them what humanity can do," he said quietly. "Dr. Roberts, is your team ready?" Dr. Roberts nodded, her fingers hovering over her keyboard. "Quantum virus is prepared for deployment. We just need them to open communications." She didn't have to wait long. The main screen flickered, and the High Commander's metallic face appeared. "Your time has expired," the alien leader announced. "What is your answer?" Walker stepped forward. "Before we respond, we're transmitting a small gift. A token of Earth's appreciation." Dr. Roberts pressed a key, sending the quantum virus hidden within a simple transmission signal. On the screen, the High Commander's image flickered slightly, the only sign that the virus had begun its work. "Your primitive attempts at diplomacy " The High Commander stopped mid-sentence as warning alarms began blaring through their fleet. Their perfect formation started to break apart as ship after ship lost control of their advanced systems. "Now!" Walker commanded. Around the world, humanity's forces sprang into action. Old nuclear submarines, their launching systems converted to use simple radio signals, fired their modified missiles. World War II radar stations, restored and hidden, began tracking enemy movements using frequencies the Dominion's advanced sensors ignored. The Dominion fleet, expecting to face modern weapons they could easily counter, found themselves under attack from directions their computers couldn't predict. Their ships' perfect defensive screens, designed to stop energy weapons and modern explosives, couldn't detect the crude but effective rockets heading their way. "Their formation is breaking," Green reported, watching the tactical display. "Just as we predicted. They don't know how to handle multiple types of attacks at once. Their responses are too standardized." The first wave of missiles struck home. 20 Dominion ships erupted in flames, their crews never expecting to be hit by weapons they considered obsolete. More vessels spun out of control, their crystalline computers scrambled by the quantum virus. But the Dominion wasn't defeated yet. Their remaining ships began firing energy weapons at Earth, trying to overwhelm human defenses through sheer power. "Activate the mirror defense," Walker ordered. Thousands of small satellites, launched in secret over the past month, deployed simple mirror surfaces. The Dominion's energy weapons reflected back at their own ships, causing even more chaos in their ranks. "Sir," a technician called out, "we're detecting enemy drop ships heading for the surface." Walker smiled. "Right on schedule. General Ross, your turn." Around the globe, hidden bunkers opened. But instead of modern tanks or aircraft, they released thousands of modified civilian vehicles, cars fitted with old-style weapons, trucks carrying simple but effective rocket launchers, even crop dusters armed with electronic disruption devices. All powered by basic engines that the Dominion's advanced targeting systems couldn't properly track. The battle raged for 6 hours. The Dominion's superior technology, crippled by the virus and confused by humanity's mix of old and new weapons, proved less effective with each passing minute. Their rigid battle formations fell apart against attacks that came from every direction using methods their combat computers couldn't categorize. When the dust settled, over half the Dominion fleet was destroyed or disabled. The remaining ships retreated in disarray, their perfect order shattered. In the command center, exhausted but triumphant, Earth's defenders celebrated their first victory. But Admiral Walker remained serious. "Good work everyone," he said, "but this was just the first battle. The Dominion will be back, and next time they won't underestimate us." He looked at the tactical display showing the retreating enemy ships. "But that's okay, because next time we'll be even more ready for them." Dr. Roberts smiled as she started analyzing data from the battle. "And we'll have a few more surprises waiting." In the council chambers, the assembled representatives watched the battle's aftermath in stunned silence. They had just witnessed something unprecedented. A primitive species had not only rejected both the Council's peaceful overtures and the Dominion's demands but had successfully defended itself against one of the galaxy's most powerful forces. First Speaker Dale turned to Ben, who stood nearby clutching his research materials. "Add another entry to Earth's defense record," Dale said quietly. 28 alien encounters. 28 victories. Ben nodded, but his eyes were fixed on the tactical displays showing Earth's innovative defense strategies. "They didn't just win," he observed. "They've changed the rules of galactic warfare. The Dominion's defeat will inspire other worlds to resist." Across the galaxy, news of the battle spread rapidly. The mighty Dominion, with all its advanced technology and standardized perfection, had been defeated by a species that used mirrors, radio waves, and modified tractors as weapons of war. On Earth, as cleanup operations began and celebrations erupted worldwide, humanity's leaders gathered to plan for the future. They knew the Dominion would return, probably with new tactics and technologies. But humanity had something better than advanced technology or overwhelming numbers. They had 50,000 years of experience in turning weaknesses into strengths, finding unconventional solutions to impossible problems, and most importantly, never, ever giving up. The galaxy was changing. The age of rigid empires and standardized warfare was ending. A new era was beginning, one where adaptability, creativity, and sheer stubborn determination would shape the future of interstellar civilization. And at the center of this change stood Earth, a planet that had spent 50,000 years preparing for this moment. They hadn't just defended their world, they had shown the galaxy that true strength lies not in technological superiority or military might, but in the indomitable spirit of those fighting for their freedom. The stars would never be the same again. The end.